world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jah Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jah Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jah Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jah Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.
You're still with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez on West Coast Radio. Gambia participates and Election Watch will have a joint press conference on Wednesday. We are requesting to have Marr Nyang on your Tuesday show to help amplify the message before the matter is back at the National Assembly on the 25th of March. What matter? This is the election bill. And yes, Marr Nyang is with us in deference to that request. Marr, welcome back.
Thank you, Uncle Peter.
Gambia participates. How's it doing?
We're holding up. You already know what is happening, but we're surviving.
I know nothing. I know the direction you're going into. Let's just start there. Yes, yeah. That's the Trump effect, eh?
The Trump effect, but we luckily surviving it.
Okay.
Yes. So we one of those lucky few that are surviving those.
And how are you surviving? Did you have money before that you didn't spend, and that's what you are living off now, if you like?
Not actually. So many contracts were terminated by the U.S. government. Ours was not terminated.
Fantastic.
So
well done. Lucky you. So democracy still matters.
Yes.
To
so we are surviving it, but we're still concerned about the future. We're also concerned about other civil society organizations because the work we are doing, we cannot do it alone. So other civil society organizations that are also holding up the rope, if they are affected, it also affects us as well.
Absolutely. So, yeah, diaspora voting is a major issue. The bill has come before the National Assembly. They've looked at it and taken out what they don't like. But you're saying, I mean, that clause guaranteeing or giving Gambians in the diaspora, finally, the vote has to come back in. How much work have you done in that regard, and how much hope do you have?
So firstly, before us, I think MSDG project, they have done a lot of work. They submitted a position paper in 2021, May 2021, before the presidential elections, right? Basically stating to the National Assembly the current legal frameworks, which already enables the Gambians in the diaspora to vote. If you look at the elections decree, also Section 11 and also Section 141 of the election decree, both talk about the IEC doing something to get the diaspora to be registered and then also to vote in presidential elections. Section 11 specifically mentioned that the IEC should compile a register, and even further to say to also have a register of Gambians in foreign countries. Right? Section 141 also did say that the IEC should make rules to accommodate those living outside the Gambia to vote in presidential elections. So the current legal frameworks already enables that. And going back to the Constitution, I think that's where the confusion is. Many are saying no, it's incompatible with Section 39 of the 1997 Constitution. We think that was not clearly communicated to parliamentarians, which warranted them to vote against that Clause 14 of the Elections Bill. Section 39(1) says they should be registered in the National Assembly constituency, and there are already 53 National Assembly constituency. What has to be done is for the IEC to facilitate registering people. If I live, I'm in San Clemente, but I vote in Canifing South, right? Those in the diaspora as well, they could be registered within the current existing constituency. And it has to be clear that for presidential election, the whole country is one constituency.
Absolutely.
In referendum, the whole country is one constituency. So there is nothing, no legal obstacle, no legal barrier stopping the diaspora from voting. The issue is about technicalities. The IEC rolling out the voter register beyond the source of the Gambia to get the diaspora to register and vote. So the current legal frameworks do accommodate that. Now, what Parliament is doing is actually going to make things worse. Because if the current legal framework is saying that people in the diaspora should vote in presidential elections, if you're deleting Clause 14, you're actually making things worse than the current situation. And I think when you are drafting legislations, especially addressing pertinent social issues, you should not make it worse, but to make it better.
But those people who voted against, diaspora voting, have they not read, these other laws and regulations that you quoted before going to the Constitution? Apparently, they just picked up the Constitution, looked at the Constitution, or Gambians in the diaspora have to be registered in the National Assembly constituency, and that's it. Didn't they read the other electoral laws?
Well, we understand that many of them are not legal technocrats, but it is still there.
You don't have to be a legal technocrat.
Law is pretty much complicated, so that's why we are stepping in to help with those information and tell them that the current situation and even the Section 14, Clause 14 of the Elections Bill, though it will need to be tweaked a little bit, right?
That's okay.
Yes, it will
as
need
long
to be
as it
tweaked
performs ultimately
yes.
that which it's set out to do.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes,
how you frame the language,
exactly.
is not as important as actually enabling a course of action.
Exactly. So that's why we are stepping in to inform parliamentarians. We're going to release a position paper tomorrow and tell them that for the diaspora to vote in presidential election and referendum, it does not require the IEC to create new constituencies. It does not actually require that. What it would require...
They don't need to have an Africa constituency, a Europe constituency, because that's what Guinea-Bissau has. I mean, yes, the point was made that even Guinea-Bissau, and the reason they're saying even Guinea-Bissau, we gained independence almost 10 years before Guinea-Bissau did. 1965, Gambia, 1974, Guinea-Bissau. If they could work on getting their diasporans to vote, all right, what they did was they have an Africa constituency and a Europe constituency. Don't we need to have such an arrangement?
That will be needed. The short-term plan that we are looking at right now is the 2026 elections. That they should roll, that IEC should roll the voter register and then get the Gambians in the diaspora to vote. For the diaspora to vote in parliamentary elections, councillorship election, and mayoral election, that will require the amendment of Section 88 of the 1997 Constitution.
Okay. But for presidential, you're saying we don't need
We don't need that because the whole country is one constituency, right? And if those in the diaspora are originally from a particular constituency in Gambia, when IEC is doing this voter registration, in fact, Clause 14, that's what it says, they will have to come up with rules and regulations and also requirements, right? So from these rules and regulations, they set the criteria. Uncle Peter, you are in UK or you are in Germany. Where were you born? If you're able to present the evidence that you were born, let's say, for example, in Latrikunda constituency.
No, I wasn't.
Yes.
Number 2 Charles Street.
Okay.
Banjul.
Number 2 Charles Street in Banjul, whether Banjul Central or North or South, you will be registered under that particular constituency, right? So when they are compiling the votes, when they're collating the votes, right, they will be reporting on those votes that they have received from outside the Gambia within a particular constituency, because that is just presidential.
And maybe that's where the difficulty is. If it was a paper ballot, all right, that's easy. Now, with this marble now, they're saying there's a difficulty of even, getting enough marbles. Oh, apparently nobody is producing marbles anymore.
Well, see, election logistics is a nightmare anywhere you go.
Yeah, but it's easier with the paper.
In all countries. But, I've observed elections in a lot of countries, and the paper ballot is really problematic. It's really, really problematic.
Yeah, but it's easier when people have to vote from a distance.
It's easier.
Because it's just, taking a paper, either putting a cross against the face and name of the person you want to vote for, you fold it, put it in an envelope.
I stand to be corrected, but I think the current both the elections bill and if I'm quoting the right laws, the election decree, they do mention that during elections in a particular police station, all voting materials, or let's say the tokens, should be unique, right? But IEC can make special arrangements where they are conducting an election to use a different system. Right, the current legislation, and I believe the elections bill do accommodate that. So, but just to take us back to the real question, whether diaspora can vote in the upcoming president election, the legal framework accommodates that. Now, if the parliament deletes this clause 14 without reconsidering it to bring it back, it will make matters worse, right? And what we are saying is, I'm sure most of them are afraid of the incompatibility of those clauses with Section 39. It is not incompatible. If you look at the Supreme Court ruling as well, with Bakary Bunja Dabo and others, and that of the Attorney General and IEC, the Supreme Court did mention that the IEC did in fact direct the IEC to register Gambians, and then those, more specifically those in the diaspora. And IEC also accepted to take the initiative to fulfill Section 39. So if it's already in the elections bill, I think the opportunity now is for the Parliament to raise their standing order, I believe it's standing order 74, to raise the motion to bring back that clause, re-debate it, right? If it needs to be tweaked, especially clause 14.2, they tweak it, but they should not really completely remove it.
What does clause 14.2 say?
So clause 14 do say that, just I will read the last sentence. It says they should be able, the diaspora, to vote in president election, referenda, and other elections as determined by law and the constitution. So other elections here will mean the council elections, the local government elections, which is chairmanship election. Council also is local government, and parliamentary elections as well. So currently, that is what will require. I think that's where the clarification should be done, right? That is what will require for these people in the diaspora to be given a constituency, because these local government elections, it is local level, it's regional level, it's not national level. Right? National elections, like referendum, is just one particular issue, yes or no. The whole country votes towards that. Mm-hmm. Presidential, you're voting for one public office. The whole country votes towards that. It's just that the votes are collated and reported at the constituency level. So it's a matter of operational for the IEC to actually come up with regulations and system to reporting when they collect and reporting those data.
Okay. So you've been heading a campaign, or you're part of a campaign to get this clause back. Who have you been meeting?
Well, we have I and the coalition. So
first and foremost, what group do you represent this morning here?
So I'm representing the Election Watch Committee. I'm representing the Edward Francis Small Center for Right and Justice, and then also Gambia Participate, but most importantly as well those in the diaspora. So we have created this ad hoc group to campaign and enlighten parliamentarians, because that's what we've been doing the most, and inform them that what you are afraid of is not something that you should worry about for presidential elections. So here is what we think you should do, and give them that solution for them to actually.
Okay, and have you started, consulting with parliamentarians?
Yes, we have started talking to different parliamentarians. Some of those that actually voted it out, they are still receptive to the idea, and some actually they say they.
I was going to say you already have the UDP parliamentarians in your corner, because they all, voted for this clause.
Yes.
It's those
NPP.
In the ruling coalition and the independents, not just the NPP,
Yes.
and the independents, apparently, because Almame Jiba, says he will always vote against. Have you consulted him?
No, we have not consulted
Do
Almame Jiba
you
yet.
plan to consult Almame Jiba?
I think what we are about to do is actually going to be for all of them.
Including Almame Jiba?
Including Almame Jiba, for all parliamentarians. We know UDP is supporting it, and even for some of the NPP folks that actually voted against it, some of them have started taking a different...
Well, if the party position is to vote against them,
Well,
you won't get any breaking ranks.
So that's where the problem is. I think parliamentarians should be independent in making decisions that are...
Are they independent?
Well, they have to be independent. They must be independent.
They have to be independent.
They must
Are
be
they independent? Do you see independence in any of them?
In some cases, they are not independent. In some cases, they are not independent. They take part.
And I take you back to saying, if the party position on this particular clause is to vote no, they will all vote no.
Well, that will be a little bit disappointing because parliamentarians, when people are voting, they don't look for party. For parliamentary elections, to be specific, they look for the individual.
They're supposed not to.
Yes.
But they look for party. You know that's how they vote in the National Assembly.
So what I'm saying is the people, when they are voting, right, if you look at our voting pattern, right, in most constituencies during the presidential elections,
NPP, you are taking it out of parliament
Yes.
now to actually, the actual voting.
And NPP won in those constituency elections, the presidential, but it changed in parliamentary
Yeah,
elections.
I remember when I started voting, my first vote was against the government because, I grew up with the sons, daughters, nephews, nieces of the late Jibu Jang, NCP. You're too young. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
All right. So that's, why? Because I was moving around with, children of Jibu Jang naturally when I came of age and I could vote. And he was still contesting, elections. We voted for him, not because we believed in, I'm not sure when I first voted, I knew what NCP represented.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of these constituency, ward or regional level elections, because people vote for the individual that is closer to them, not always the political party. In fact, the strongholds of these political parties, sometimes you see independent candidates, right? Winning in strongholds of these political parties. So
APRC, they thought Fabakary Tomong and Sidi thought they were going to sweep Fonyi.
Yeah. So you could see that the dynamics always change in local government elections. So that's the reason why we're saying they have to be independent, they must be independent. But the focus is to call on the parliamentarians, reconsider, right, their position on on clause 14. They can bring it back, like they have the standing orders already give them that power to do so. But the little bit tweak that should be done, they can do that. But they must not disenfranchise the Gambians, because what most people are not informed about is when you talk about Gambians in the diaspora, they think about those in the US or in the Europe. It's not the case. Those living in Senegal belongs to the diaspora community.
Those living in Guinea-Bissau. And there are many Gambian Manjagos, in Guinea-Bissau.
Exactly. And then there are so many other Gambians that are also planning to migrate. So you're not only disenfranchising those currently living in the diaspora, but also citizens of the Gambia that are about to migrate to other countries. I think that is not what the principle of universal adult suffrage is.
That's a very good point. Just final message, maybe communicating directly to members of the National Assembly and even, voters, because sometimes we don't realize that the power resides in us. I mean, we are the people who have the instruments that send people to the National Assembly or somebody to number 1 Marina Parade.
Now, I think,
and it's what we do with that is important.
It is important, I think, but there has been a lot of energy in accountability, but also I believe there should be a lot of energy in engaging, and that's the school of thought that I belong to. We do both accountability, but also at the same time as lobbying with those that have the thumb to press the change button. So the message here is for the parliamentarians. I've said it and I will say it again, that Clause 14 is not unconstitutional. Clause 14 is very much compatible with Section 39 and also Section 26 of the 1997 Constitution. Diaspora, currently, nothing stops them legally to vote in presidential elections. It's only operational. And the excuse that it's a logistical nightmare, election itself is a logistical nightmare. That's why we have institutions, independent institutions established to do that job. And if they need money, they get money. Elections are very important, more important than the UN delegation that you were talking about. So I think...
Do you know how large that delegation was?
I don't know. But elections are more important than that, and elections are more important than the Meet the People store. Elections are more important than the 736 million that are spent or more on OIC vehicles. So if IC needs money, they get the money.
When they got the money in the run-up to, in the lead-up to the 2021 election, and everybody thought part of that huge budget was going to be used on, registering Gambians in the diaspora to vote. I mean, did you know anything about? Were they given that much money in order to carry out? Finally implement diaspora voting?
Well, I see Askanwi made a report that they were given that money. I need to double check, but Askanwi Flex reported that
everybody was saying so.
Giving money and that registration was not done. But I think right now they should get prepared for it and do the studies for Senegal.
We need a chairman first. We need a chairman first and foremost.
Well, that's also should be.
Is it a relief that Ali Momar Njai has gone finally?
Well, I don't know about the status of that with the government.
Yeah, because most activists thought, given his age, not that anything with his personality, but it had got to a point where his age was not making it, possible for him in any way to be effective.
Yes.
And probably we just wasted the last 3 years. This is the opinion of many an activist like yourself.
Yeah, first to recognize that Ali Njai has an indelible mark in our electoral system. In 2016, he did what was expected for a chairman to do, which is commendable. But I totally agree with you that he has advanced in age, and I think his records are there. But I think there should be another party that should take up from the good work that he has already started.
Okay, all right. Marr, thanks for coming. And so the press conference is tomorrow. Where and at what time?
Tomorrow, 11:30. We will be hosting it at the Gambia Participate office at 11:30. Yes.
11:30.
Yes.
All right. Will you have any National Assembly members to support you and give weight to what you are doing?
Well, we don't want it to be political, so it will be purely...
Well, this is political.
Well, at the press conference, we don't want it to be political because if we have to bring...
You don't want it to be partisan.
Partisan. Thank you for that.
Everything about this is politics.
Well, thank you for that for that terminology. Yes, but that's what we wanted to do, purely led by civil society. Mm-hmm. And then the document that will be issued from it, we will share with all the parliamentarians.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. Marr Nyang. Thanks for coming. It's coffee time with Peter Gomez. We continue after this.
In a world where progress never sleeps, one company stands out as the driving force behind infrastructure and energy solutions. Introducing our fuel company and cement producer, where excellence meets efficiency. Jah Oil. The company have 30 filling stations across the country that are all operating, which includes the recently completed Yarambamba and Old Yundum filling stations. And our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Along the years, Jah Oil introduces importation and distribution of cement in their line of business to diversify and strengthen their operations. Are you a cement retailer? At the moment, Jah Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market. With a focus on sustainability and innovation, we are paving the way for a greener, stronger future. Trust in us to fuel your projects and lay the groundwork for success. We currently produce over 25,200,000 bags per year. As the largest cement producer in the country, Jah Oil also targets to export cement to the neighboring countries like Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry, and others. Join us on our journey to shape a world where every drop of fuel and every bag of cement makes a difference. Together, we can build a brighter tomorrow.